whipping up all of your favorite recipes.
Simply Food.
You should know by now that you're in for a treat.
Simply Food.
There's no other channel where you'd rather be.
Simply Food.
Seafood, pasta, cakes, and pies. Sing and laugh and even cry. Like and share and hit subscribe. Simply Food by TY.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Simply Food by TY, and today I'm going to be showing you all how to make a creamy Tuscan shrimp pasta that is absolutely everything. Okay, so let's jump right on into the video. So anytime you guys are making pasta, please make sure that you are properly salting your pasta. Okay, that's how you start to create flavor. Now we're going to be using some farfalle pasta or bow tie pasta, whatever you want to call it. That was about a 1 pound box. I'm only going to be using about half of that box. Okay, give it a little mix around. You do not need to add oil. Cook it off properly, drain it, set it to the side. Do not rinse the pasta. Now let's start to talk about the cherry tomatoes. Now, to me, the cherry tomatoes in this recipe is actually probably one of my favorite aspects of the dish. You add these in at the very, very last second, and because of that, you know, as you're eating the shrimp and you know, the sun-dried tomatoes and all that type of stuff, you'll get these little bursts of sweet cherry tomatoes, and I think it's just absolutely everything, Chad. Now, because I'm a bit OCD when it comes to, you know, veggies and fruits and stuff like that, I wash my cherry tomatoes prior to me slicing them, and then I also give them a light rinse once I slice them. But just make sure it's rinsing under a light, you know, not heavy water after you slice, because you don't want to wash out all of the seeds. So just keep that in mind. Now, I'm not going to use this entire container. I'm only going to slice up probably just a few more, and I'm going to end up with roughly, I would say, about a cup to about a cup and a half. You can use more, you can use less. Now, I'm going to be using about a half a cup to about a cup of frozen spinach here. You can use fresh if you want, but I like to use frozen just because then I'll know exactly how much spinach is going to be going into the dish. You know what I mean? When you're using big spinach, you can't really tell how much you're actually cooking. Now, if you're going to be using frozen spinach, this is key and crucial that you do this. As you can see, I am pressing out all of that excess liquid from the spinach. This is very important because there's a lot of water that's going into that bowl, and we don't want that to go into the dish because that's just gonna leave a bitter taste, and then the spinach flavor is just gonna take over everything. And as you can see, you know, that's probably only about 1/3, 1/4 of a cup of spinach that I got there that's done. But look at how much water was in it, taking up all that space, okay? And if you want, you can always add in more spinach. Now, these Cento sun-dried tomato chef cut are just one of my favorites to use. It's just the particular brand that I like. You don't have to use that brand. You can use whatever type of sun-dried tomatoes you want. Now, I will say these particular sun-dried tomatoes, and in all honesty, I think all sun-dried tomatoes typically are rested in oil. I don't know what just happened with the lights in my video. Pay that no mind. But these ones that I pulled out were actually rather large. So I would say, you know, there is no right or wrong amount, you know, to how much spinach, how many tomatoes, how many sun-dried tomatoes. You know, you can do as many or as little as you would like. Because mine are so big, I'm only going to be adding in probably about 4 of them. But what I'm doing right now is I'm just going to put them on a paper towel just to pat them dry, just because I do feel like that's an excessive amount of oil, and I don't want all of that in the pasta. You don't have to go too crazy with trying to make sure that all the oil is gone. You don't have to do all of that. I just, you know, prefer to just drain off just a little tiny bit of it, because we're going to have enough oil and butter later on. Trust me, Chad. So once you get that done, now we can go ahead and work on giving these a rough chop. Once again, you guys, if you want more spinach, if you want more tomatoes, if you want more sun-dried tomatoes, that is completely fine. You can add as much as any of those 3 as you want, or you can take away whatever you don't want. That's also completely fine. But as far as the sun-dried tomatoes, we want to give these just a slight chop. You don't really have to break them down to like a really, really small mince, because they're going to cook down anyway. So I'm just going to give these just a little tiny chop here, nothing too crazy. Sun-dried tomatoes are not spicy. I know someone in a previous video randomly asked me about if sun-dried tomatoes were spicy. They're not spicy at all, so don't let that fool you that they look like peppers. They're not spicy whatsoever. Now, as far as cooking this dish, I'm going to be using a stainless steel. I'm putting in about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. You can absolutely use stainless steel, but I would only suggest using stainless steel if you are used to working with stainless steel, okay? Because this is one of those dishes where you want to make sure you're really good with keeping an eye on the temperature so nothing burns or sticks. I've just added in a half a stick of butter. You're going to need a full stick of butter for this recipe. Right now, we're only adding in a half a stick. As you can see, I've just added in our beautiful shrimp, and now we're about to put some seasonings on them. Now, for this particular recipe, you don't need a lot of stuff because you just don't. You're going to get a lot of salt from that Parmesan cheese a little bit later on and all the other stuff we're putting in. So just a light pinch of kosher salt. As you can see, I added in some Italian seasoning and black pepper. For the Italian seasoning, I would say that was about a half a tablespoon, okay? Going at this point, you want to have your temperature on about a medium high so that we can focus on go ahead and fully cooking off the shrimp. You can absolutely make this dish in a nonstick pan. That's completely fine. I'm going to be adding in about 4 to 5 cloves of garlic. You don't have to chop them. I just want to get them nice and browned, and that'll add some additional flavor to that oil because everything that's in that pan right now is just going to create a lot more flavor a little bit later down the line. And as you can see, they look absolutely delicious. So since they are done, we want to go ahead and remove all the shrimp and the garlic out of the pan. We don't want to overcook our shrimp at all. And in all honesty, if you are worried about your shrimp being tough, you can take them out even a minute before they're fully cooked because we're going to add them back in a little bit later on, and the residual heat is going to finish cooking off the shrimp anyway. So you don't try your hardest to avoid overcooking your shrimp. Now, all of this goodness that we got in there, this is major. So we've just added in the other stick of butter. I'm going to add in a splash of water, or you can add in white wine. That's completely fine. That would be even better. I didn't have any white wine on hand, but you absolutely can add in some white wine. That would be lovely. Now, what we're doing right now is we're taking that liquid and the butter, and we're just getting up all those little remnants that were on the bottom of the pan. That's all going to create flavor that's going into our, I guess you could pretty much call it an Alfredo sauce, to be honest. So you don't want to rinse any of that off. You want to keep all of that because that's going to add a crap ton of flavor. So now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and add in 1 cup of heavy whipping cream and go on ahead and give that a good mix around. And then we're going to put in our Parmesan cheese. I added in about a half a cup of Parmigiano Reggiano. Now, for all of you cheese police that like to say that the only way cheese is great is if you shred it by hand, well, damn it, get you a shredder and get to shredding. Okay, I'm gonna do it the way I've been doing it, and that is binding with the lovely folk that have shredded it for me. All right, so now I'm gonna go on ahead and give this a good old mix around to go ahead and melt that cheese down. At this point, you can go ahead and taste it for salt. As you heard me say earlier, that's the reason why you don't need to add a lot of salt on the shrimp or any of that, because that cheese is very salty. So keep in mind, keep that in mind. I've just added in some more of our Italian seasoning. That doesn't have any sodium in it, so you can feel free to go crazy with that. I added in about 2 teaspoons worth. You can add up to about a half a tablespoon. That's completely fine. And you can also add in some crushed red pepper flakes if you want. That's also completely fine. So we're letting that simmer for, about a minute or two. Make sure all your cheese is melted. Make sure you're continually mixing it so that nothing sticks. Now that we've done that, that's cooked for about 2 to 3 minutes simmered. We've added in our sun-dried tomatoes and our spinach, and now we're going to go on ahead and give that a mix around. As you can see now, we're starting to build up that color. It's starting to look delicious. Once again, at this point, I would suggest that you go ahead and taste it for salt and pepper because at this point, we're not really adding any other seasoning. So if you think that it needs a little bit more salt, that's completely fine. But remember that you also salted that water for the pasta, which also comes in handy. Now, anytime you're adding pasta to a dish like this where the sauce has already created, I always suggest that you add in the pasta little by little. And the reason why I say that is because you don't want to add so much pasta that it's soaked up all of that beautiful sauce you made and now you've ended up with a dry pasta. You just don't want that. And in all honesty, the starch that comes off of that pasta is going to also naturally thicken up this sauce. So what might seem kind of runny to you right now is going to completely thicken up. And as you can see, that cheese is still melting and really gelling everything together. So I didn't even add in all of my pasta, okay? Now we're adding in our shrimp and the garlic, and then of course we're gonna add in our beautiful, beautiful tomatoes. At this point, you guys, the dish is done. There's not much else you have to do to this. As you can see, this dish is absolutely beautiful. It is everything. Get yourself some garlic bread or, you know, something like that to serve up with it. Sauvignon Blanc really goes really well with this. Any type of white wine is going to go well with anything when it comes to shrimp, that's for sure. But yeah, this is one of my favorite pasta dishes. I absolutely love it. I think you will love it. This particular recipe probably will serve anywhere between 3 to 4 people. Before you serve it, go on ahead and chop up, I would say anywhere between about 1/4 to about 1/2 of a cup of some fresh parsley. And you guys have done it. Look, if you are new to my channel, welcome to Simply Food by TY. If you're one of my returning subscribers, well, y'all babies know I love y'all so much. And as always, y'all babies stay cute and take care. Y'all enjoy now. My God.
Slaying in the kitchen.
Simply Food by TY.
We hope that you enjoyed
Simply Food by
it.
TY. If you haven't took the time, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.